and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About Faith. I want to take a few minutes to talk about something that, oh gosh, I could write 100 books on, and it's handling the hard times when life seems too tough. And I know many of you have probably experienced some things in life that just seem so challenging that they just knock you off your feet. And people often think that they're down for the count when certain things happen, and that there seemingly is no way out. Odds are against you, or just impossible to make a comeback from some of the setbacks. But I'm here to tell you today that if you keep fighting, if you keep moving forward, if you keep getting up when you get knocked down, you very well can handle the hard things. Will it be easy? No, not usually. It isn't. But the fact of the matter is that you can handle those things and you can keep it moving in life. And I just want to share 3 particular pointers with you about that. The first one is finding your focus when things happen. Where is your attention going? What's your perspective going to be? Where do you find yourself just constantly worried? Well, I can raise my hand. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt and tickets and all of those things people say when you've done something time and time again. I've had my fair share or unfair share of worrying to do. That perspective, unfortunately, I learned as well, is not the most helpful perspective. And through all of the challenges, hardships, difficult times, have learned to place my faith in God. And without that, I really did not have a promising perspective. I didn't have a positive perspective. I didn't have a perspective that would move me in the right direction. And that is critical, because we often will beat ourselves up when something happens, or we'll find ourselves going into some type of depression, or just finding ourselves wanting to give up. There are a number of things that happen when we do find ourselves in those places that we just didn't expect to find ourselves in, that challenge the very nature of our strength, our get up and fight, all of that. And so getting the right perspective. And I encourage you, I myself, I say there is no other way that I could get through, no other foundation I could use to keep standing, and that is my faith in God. That's the perspective that I choose. I lean on many scriptures through those times, and I encourage you to do the same. There's so many, I couldn't just go through the entire list, because often what you choose to lean on or stand on is very much going to depend on what you're going through. But the one thing I do want to say, the very thing that you can depend on, is knowing that God is with you when you are going through something. He is there. And, that can be hard for some people, because they're like, well, where is he? I don't feel him. I don't see him. Well, I couldn't feel him necessarily or see him either. But when you understand the truth of biblical principles, it's something that you understand, maybe not in that moment, but as you move through life and as you do experience more and more of spiritual biblical principles, you understand that there is a real presence that you can depend on, that will give you comfort, that will give you strength, that will help you with your focus, that will help you with vision. And that's what faith is about. You can't always see, but there's a spiritual power that helps you understand in the things that you cannot see, that somehow you're going to make it through it. I remember a story some years ago. I was at a grocery store in the line, the customer service line, and to my left was a young man who was having an exchange. It was a kind, comfortable exchange with the clerk, the representative that was on the other side of me. And what they were trying to figure out is how to cash a check for him. He did not have the proper ID, and he was trying to explain to her that he had been incarcerated for quite some time, and he was able to work and get whatever identification and things in place to make that happen, but he just was not able to provide for her the kind of ID that was needed to cash his paycheck, and unfortunately they had to turn him down. And I found this out because I finished what I was doing before he did, and I was out in the parking lot at my car, and I saw him come walking down the same aisle where I was parked. And he was looking very downcast, very just very sad. And so I said to him, how did things work out for you? And he said, well, I couldn't get that check cashed, and I really need this money. And I'm just not sure what I'm gonna do. Trouble just seems to follow me wherever I go. I said to him, you know what, young man, I'm gonna tell you something. I want you to never ever say that again. I want you to have more faith than that, and I want you to say that goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life. Well, he stopped and his eyes got so big, and he said, you know what, ma'am, I don't know anything about the Bible, but I know that one scripture because my grandmother always said that to me. And I thought, well, that was a wise grandmother. And I said, well, you know what, keep those words as you keep going, and you're going to be all right. You're going to figure this out. And he left with a pep in his step. He didn't know how things were going to work out, but that change in perspective helped him know that somehow, some way, that he would. And I think it also helped him see that maybe his grandma was looking out for him. So it's important the perspective we take. We hear a lot of motivational and inspirational speakers and preachers and teachers and everybody telling us things we should say about our circumstances. And listen, I'm all for that, because I believe that the things that we want and will want to do and the things that are ahead, we can speak toward our future. And using the right perspective and the right words can make a powerful, powerful difference in how things shake out and how they roll out in our lives. So work hard on trying to have a perspective, even though it just may not feel like that's what's really happening, or it may not look like it. But it really does help if you can grasp hold in your heart, in your mind, and in your spirit, the right words to speak over yourself and whatever the complications and hard times, difficulty may be. The next thing is finding the fortitude to get through something. Well, I'll tell you, I've had my times of feeling like I was flat on my back and disgusted and busted and all of those things, and not knowing where I would find the strength to keep going. It's a real thing. And again, I know that many of you who listen to videos like mine know that already. It's not easy to get through many of the challenges of life. One of the hardest things I have ever done was going back to school, back to college as an adult. I had a determination about it. I was a teen mom, and so when I got pregnant very early in life, one of the greatest statistics that hung over every teen girl that got pregnant at that time was that you never made it past your high school education, even got to finish it. And at that time, that didn't sit well with me, that whole thought. And so I made it through my pregnancy, had a beautiful baby girl, and went back to school 3 weeks after her birth, and graduated with a good GPA. And, I was at the top of my class and elected president of my class. That just didn't sit with me, the whole idea of that considered being a failure or a blockage to going forward in life. I had some support systems, my mom and dad. I also had to find a lot of internal strength. There was a lot to do. One of the plans I made is I did all my homework before I got home from school, because I knew that when I got home, I was going to have to take care of my baby. And so, the fortitude and mentally and emotionally, I don't know that I had as much spiritual fortitude as I do today. I was, of course, very young, and that was one of my first learning experiences of having to have that kind of fortitude. But as time went on, I did go to college. I had to put it off, of course. I had all kinds of excitement about going while I was graduating from high school, but that wasn't going to happen. That's just not how it went. I didn't get to go back to school until I was in my mid to late 20s. And even at that time, life happened, and I had to stop at that time and did not go back to finish my degree until I was in my 40s. Well, when I think back about that, that was one of the hardest things I'd ever done. But I had my mind made up that I was going to get my degree finally. And it took me quite a bit of time, somewhere between 4 and 5 years to complete the degree. I majored in 3 areas: psychology, sociology, and Christianity. But the thing that made it so hard is that so many obstacles came up along the way. I was at a very fast-paced university, and the demands were very great for getting work done, and again, having a couple of 3 majors and trying to map and plan that out most efficiently wasn't exactly an easy task. But the fortitude that I gave myself was that there was no giving up. There was no way that I was going to say, I can't do this. Those words never came to me the entire time, even though it was really, I am telling you, one of the hardest things I ever done. I had a major surgery during that time. I had, other responsibilities that were going on that I had to take care of and figure out somehow with my own personal overhead and things like that. By the time I got to my graduation, I tell you, I called that degree the blood, sweat, and tears degree, because that's exactly what it took. But the fortitude fact and phase of what I want you to understand is that I never, ever thought about giving up. I never thought about turning back. I never thought about letting go of the fact that I was going to do whatever it took, whatever sacrifice I had to make, whatever moves I had to make, whatever I had to do, I was in it to win it. I was going to get that degree somehow, some way, no matter what. And in the challenges of life, I believe that that's how we have to feel. I've had several, more than I can count, and that's just my attitude. Unless something happens that reveals to me this isn't something you should be doing or want to be doing or whatever, if I know that it is a divinely inspired move, something that should be going on in my life, something that is truly favorable and God's will, there's just no turning back. I'm going to get it done. And if, in life, when those things, I've had unexpected things happen, major things that have occurred that, probably would have knocked some people out of the ring altogether. But again, you have your mind made up, that you're going to make it through it somehow. I talk about in my book, Stay in the Ring, having the won't power. Well, I won't give up. And I describe won't power as being very defiant and strong and not easily taken down. And so I have that attitude about many things in life. And it's just interesting. And I know a lot of people go through the same things. I learned that, I'm not the only one who faces trials and challenges and tribulation and all of that. You have to have a made-up mind about pressing through. Life just isn't always a cakewalk and a smooth ride and doors opening. And, you have to really get flat-footed. You have to claim your favor, and you have to stand up and fight in order to get through those times that are the most challenging. Your fortitude is going to mean everything. And then finding the faith that you need. Faith can often get lost in the midst of trying to triumph against odds and challenges. And being honest, there are so many things in life that really do hurt. They crush us. They almost devastate and destroy us, depending on what it is. And it just does not make having your faith keep moving forward be the easiest thing you have to do. But I'll tell you this, that's the one thing you want to hold on to tighter than ever. Hold on to your faith. You will learn, as I have, there are not very many other things that you can really hang your hopes on like you can faith. Faith in God, faith in yourself, faith in the fact that somehow, some way, you're going to make it through that challenging time. And I know there are probably many of you who are thinking to yourselves, but you just don't know the things I've been through. You just don't know some of the things that have happened to me. Well, I haven't fully told you all of the things that have happened to me. And, it's just, sometimes I find it quite unbelievable that the things that I've had to experience, and I find it very unbelievable too that I've made it through a lot of it. But I can promise you that faith is the element, it is the power that has gotten me through anything and all of it. And so I want you to know that I believe in God, I believe in biblical principles, and these are the things that have helped me have, again, the right foundation to be able to stand, to have the right perspective, to have the fortitude and the power to feel that I can make it through everything, and to know undoubtedly that if I hang on to faith, that I am going to make it through. So I'm hoping that you will find these words strengthening to you if you're trying to handle some hard things in life right now, if you're trying to conquer things that seem hard, if you're trying to move past odds that just seem impossible. I hope that this video will bring you an idea of the strength and the power that you can find in God, and that there's strength and power that you can also find in yourself. You can make it, and you will make it. Trust me, there are things that, again, should knock me totally out of the fight and out of the rain. But I placed my perspective in the right direction. I know the fortitude that it often takes, and it sometimes feels like you just being dragged through that challenge or that problem. But again, you'll make it. If you rest your faith upon God and what the Bible tells us about Him being with us and Him being for us, I promise you, you'll get through it. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen today. And again, I hope you are encouraged. I hope you are strengthened. I'm going to look forward to talking to you with the next edition of Let's Talk About Faith. Until then, stay blessed. I look forward to seeing you then.